What's up, everybody? Yes, indeed, I am back, man. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to the Paisa Felony channel. I sense mine's my boy, and what I want to do is I want to add to what he had spoke on earlier on one of his videos that had popped up in my feed, and I tapped in, and oh boy, has some pretty good content, man. He's non-biased, you know what I mean? From what I see, from what I've gathered, he keeps it real. You know what I'm saying? He puts there's a lot of truth to what he says out there. You know what I mean? It's good content what he puts up, man. And I know just recently he got a lot of heat from this one brother from, I forget who he was, but cartoon or something like that. And I believe I had spoke on that as well. But anyways, people, once again, this is a fitness channel with a twist. And what I mean by that is I always start out talking about fitness, nutrition, and overall health in general. And if you want to get started in your fitness journey to become that best version of yourself, you could tap in on my Instagram, or you could email me at highpowerfitness@yahoo.com. I would recommend going over to my Instagram channel. It's high_power_fitness, high_power_fitness_. Right there you can take a look. I have years of material of me working out, transformations, testimonials. I have some starter meals that you guys could check out just to get you started. You know what I mean? They're actually good meals that could get you some basic results. You know, those are actual meals that started my fitness journey to get me to where I'm at today. And if you really want to, jump on the team and take it to that next level, I'll build you that customized workout program. Every workout will come with videos demonstrating how the workout is done. It will break down how many sets you're supposed to do, how many repetitions for every set, and so on and so on. It'll be a full body workout. Whether you want gym workouts or body weight workouts, we could do either or. At the end of the day, it's entirely what's gonna fit into your regular schedule. Because when you sign aboard my team, I don't expect you to change your lifestyle. We just need to figure out a spot in your day where you can incorporate something new to your lifestyle, which would be your overall fitness. And that's important, people, because with my program, you don't have to spend countless hours at the gym. You don't have to do countless hours of cardio. I specialize in nutrition, where I get you dialed in, where you have to put in the least amount of work of working out. The workouts are there just to keep you mobile, you know what I mean? Keep your motor skills up to par, and to keep you from being like a melted candle, because obviously when you lose the weight, you want to tighten it up. That way you don't look sloppy. It ain't nothing worse than someone that loses a lot of weight, and when they pull off their shirt, they look worse than when they first started. You know what I mean? They look like a melted candle, or they look like, a melted ice cream. It just looks terrible, So like I've said, there's a correct way and there's a wrong way. And a lot of people believe, you go on this deficit to cut calories. You cut calories, you burn calories, and you put less calories in your body to lose weight. Yes, obviously that'll work, but it's not really sustainable, people, because a lot of your calories are going to be dependent upon carbohydrates, and that's just going to make you have a lot of hunger issues, where you're going to get hungry in between meals. So that's why it's really important, man, to have someone that knows what they're doing about the nutrition, such as myself, to dial in that nutrition. That way you will avoid those hunger issues. The hangry issues is what I call them, because that can be very uncomfortable. And this goes for anybody and everybody that's just starting in their fitness journey. You shouldn't have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's just a door of opportunity to fall off and derail, because everyone likes to take the path of less resistance. And we've became accustomed to a certain lifestyle basically all of our life, and we became very comfortable with it, and that's why we look the way we do today. As far as myself, I've changed, you know what I mean? Because I was a fat ass before, I jumped on my fitness journey. I was, like I said, I was about 240 pounds with like about a 44-inch waist. And I thought I was on Sweezy, man, until my wife took a picture of me eating at the table. I was eating, I believe it was a Carl's Jr. combo, something like that. Or it might have been In-N-Out, double or something with animal style fries. Who knows? Whatever it was, that picture told the truth, man. It made me fucking, think twice, because I thought I was on Sweezy. I seen myself, I said, Jesus, man, you are a fat ass. It's time to get right with yourself, or you're going to check out earlier than what you need to. And what I mean by that is, you know what I mean? You don't want to speed up your expiration date, man. If you live right today, you live healthy today, you'll be around here a lot longer for your family for the years to come. You'll be able to participate in all the activities, the family functions. You won't be that person sitting on the sidelines wishing that you could be out there playing with your grandchildren or your children, you know what I mean? Whichever it may be, or relatives, you know what I'm getting at. So anyways, people, with that being said, man, if you want to get started on your fitness journey and become that best version of yourself, shoot me a DM. It's high_power_fitness, high_power_fitness_, or email me at highpowerfitness@yahoo.com. Now, I'm going to add to what Mr. Felony Paisa, I'm not sure of his name, with all due respect or not, I really appreciate your get down. You know what I mean? I've done tiempo with a lot of good paisas, and I know I had mentioned in the past, doing time. I'm gonna bring this topic back down to the county jail, okay? Because you brought it up, a situation that went on in the joint, and I've never experienced that. You know what I mean? Where we had any type of tension or anything with the paisas. When we were in the joint, we were pretty much all underneath the same umbrella, and we understood one another. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna take this back to LA County Jail, because I did mention, there was two groups that had it really bad back in the from when I was doing time in the late 80s, early 90s, were the Paisas and the Woods, not the Woods, the Whites. That's where woods were discovered, though. I've said that in my past videos too, and there was very few, and this really took place in the men's central jail, because once you hit to where you needed to go to, stuff tapered off as it did, because now you're dealing with stuff that is more structured. There's more you have how should I put it? I don't want to put too much game out there on there, but it's more organized. Let's just put it that way. You know what I mean? So everybody's following protocol and doing as they should be doing. If not, there's consequences as well. But anyways, the Paisas, like I said, they had it really bad back in the day, and like what Paisa Felony Channel said, most of them guys, they were getting torcido for DUIs or possession, because a lot of them, they were doing their thing in the calles, in the streets, making that feria. Let's keep it real. Those were the plugs to have back in the day. That's what got me started on my curb serving days. You know what I mean? I had the plugs right there in my neighborhood. So anyways, that's here nor there. That was back in the day when I was, doing what I had to do to survive, because back in the day, people were they frowned upon people that had felonies, so I couldn't get a job, you know what I mean? So I had to do what I had to do to support my family. Well, anyways, I rambled on, and that's what I do. Let's get back to the county jail, man. So the Paisas had it rough, man, and they were getting their hands shook, their money took, and everything that they could get taken from them, and if you guys were familiar with back in the days, they had wet 40s. Wet 40s, you could get your feria in there, and there was a lot of, how should I say, protection being bought in there, because, people feared for their lives, and some of them Paisas had long paper, As far as myself, I never took part in any of that stuff, because no matter how I looked at it, that was, that's our gente, and regardless of what race it was, you know what I mean, I wouldn't take part in that, boy, because it's just not right, you know what I mean, because obviously we're all in there because we're going through a struggle. We're locked up for a reason. You don't have no sick charges on you because them people with them bad charges. Mandatory. You have to be removed, dealt with. You would be blessed if you were just removed. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, so the Paisas had it really rough. I've never once went against. I never went against the grain, but I wasn't about to participate in that type of reindeer games. It just wasn't my cup of tea. I wasn't doing it in the calles, and I wasn't gonna do it in there. I'm not gonna follow suit because this is the thing to do. Kind of like these people with the football teams and shit like that. All of a sudden, you got all these new fan people out here because a team moved to this town, and you see all these brand new flags. You can tell who's the OG ones and who's not. You know what I mean? It's funny. And this is coming from a person that doesn't even follow sports no more, but it's obvious. You know what I mean? It stands out like a sore thumb. Yes, I did ramble on, and that's what I do. Well, anyways, man, to reflect back on the Paisa thing, there was a point in time where, obviously, word had got around, these, the Paisas were, no longer, you cannot do that. It went beyond what was going on behind them walls because, like I said, a lot of the Paisas were buying protection at one time, because they had the feria and they were scared, they just wanted to go back home to their family, which everybody does, I'm gonna keep it real 100%. Everybody wants to go back home. I mean, yeah, if you come in washed up, you're gonna come in with that attitude of like, fuck it, vida loca. Yeah, who wouldn't? You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, once you're sitting in that fucking little room by yourself, slammed down, you do a lot of thinking, man. And when you think, that shit could get the best of you. They say misery loves company but I was always alone when I was in there, locked away. But anyways, people, yeah, so the Paisas, after a while, they became like, you weren't supposed to fuck with them no more. And then the Paisas, they grew strong. If you guys are familiar with the county system right there was a place called Miraloma, baby. That's where all the Paisas went to, man. I loved going there, actually. You know what I mean? There was nothing jumping off, but there was so much fucking arts and crafts because we all know our gente from down south, from way down south, the Paisas, they're good with that arts and crafts, man. Those are the ones that taught me how to make money bags, crosses, rings, all that stuff. I know how to do all that stuff, man. How to make my own thread and everything. It was taught by Paisas, and yeah, I just wanted to add to that. But yeah, back in the day, man, the Paisas had it rough. We went at it with them for a while, and then eventually some of them Paisas, they formed their own little clicas in there, and they got pretty, a stronghold depending where you went. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I was in a rayeta with them, and we called it south of the border. We were right there in medium south. We actually were housed over there, and there was individuals out of bounds, let's just put it this way, and we caught who it was and set it off. You know what I mean? We went at war with our gente right there. It was a cool little melee. It was just a dorm to dorm. It didn't have that domino effect like it normally would with other things, but it was something that had to be settled. And once the dust was settled, that actual person, was dealt with by his gente. But like I said, there was tension between the homies, and I'm not going to use the label that the homies said from Paisa Felony Channel because I just don't use those labels. But I'm just going to refer to us all as the homies because not every homie has that right to carry that title. And just because you're from a barrio doesn't mean you have that right to carry that title either. If you know, and I'm not going to sit here and try to explain to people why, because it's none of anybody's business. Well, anyways, people, with that being said, man, I'm gonna bring this video to end. If you want to get started in your fitness journey, shoot me that DM or email me at highpowerfitness@yahoo.com, baby. Shit, we'll get you some results. Come on now, I'm going on 55 years old, people. Best shape of my life. What are you waiting for? It's there for anybody and everybody. You just got to make that first hard step, the hardest part of my program, and that's putting your ego and pride to the side and admitting that you need help. It's okay to reach out, man. I did it myself, you know what I'm saying? And this is where I'm at today. Now, with that being said, Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Put your notification bell on all. Let's get this channel to 10,000 subscribers. That way I can start doing lives. And let's do this, baby. Come on. Shoot me that DM, high power fitness, high_power_fitness_, or email me at highpowerfitness@yahoo.com. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, baby.